I suppose the bit that I wanted to talk to you about, Eri, and the sort of audience is the next project, which is Commercializing Blockchain Research Center.
In this video, Antony Welfare has brought his book to life. He's categorizing blockchains. It's going to help everybody choose a chain. He has a unique scoring system that allows you to evaluate the blockchain chosen for specific projects. With his work experience from Oracle to the company Ripple, this new entity, CBRC, is a trusted provider of blockchain intelligence. Soon, a data science team will be applying an academic scoring process so that it can scale and roll out with a solid foundation, with more blockchain use cases added later this year and into 2025. Enjoy.
The Commercializing Blockchain Research Center, we launched sort of semi-soft launch, probably call it in February, where we've got 100 use cases. And basically the premise behind it is my team research use cases of blockchain. So whatever it is, so somebody's done something somewhere, either, from my network, from their network. We do have a submission form in a minute, so I can talk you through how you can apply. But we take the information and then we research it and check it. Are there links to websites? Are there, LinkedIn profiles? Are there news articles, videos, presentations, things like that? All those good things to go, oh, wow, this is great. This is a real project. And then what we do, we have a scoring process. And then we say, okay, the score is for blockchain applicability. It's not good or bad, right? So a score of 100 is top. It doesn't mean that's a good project. It means for the use of blockchain, spot on. That's what blockchain is built for. And it's really important that this is not the best and the worst. This is for using blockchain technology. Because if you look at a lot of the enterprise projects over the last few years, a lot have failed, I'm putting inverted commas. And blockchain didn't work. And my first question after selling, in essence, enterprise blockchain solutions is, why did you use blockchain? You should have used a database. I don't know why you use blockchain. So at Oracle, back in my first roles, I had a list of 8 questions it's like a diagram of how to go, should you use blockchain or not? And it was like, does it need this, and this? If so, yes, use blockchain. If not, go and use a database or some other technology. And so many projects wanted to get the blockchain label. They did blockchain without really needing it. So I got very annoyed over the last 2 or 3 years when it's like XYZ project failed because blockchain doesn't work. No, number one, it shouldn't have used blockchain. And then the second thing I found was if it used blockchain, it used the wrong one. So we have, I don't know how many blockchains, but there's probably about 10, 20, scaled usable ones at the moment. I would ask the question, and people would ask me, well, should I use Ethereum for this? Should I use XRP Ledger for that? Should I use Cardano for that? And it's like, and I can fairly well say that it's probably useful for that, or it's probably useful for that. And some of the people from my book and are really experts. And I realize there's nothing to say to someone new going, I want to do this. Should I use Ethereum, XRP, or And so what we did, we've categorized the projects on which blockchain they use and why. And so some of the next future parts will start to look at blockchains and their specificity of how they're doing things and differently. But for this stage, this is a blockchain project that's been launched, piloted, some things happened to it. It's then scored and it says, yeah, this is a score of 80 because there's 10 metrics basically and 5 measures on each metric. So it's, it's shareability, it's where do you get the data from, it's securities, those types of areas we look at. And it gives it the score. And then importantly, because this is blockchain, we issue a verified certificate for that score on the XRP ledger. At the moment, it goes through as a transaction, which is not the best way, but we're still in early stages. But you basically get a verified certificate and a hash, code or line or whatever you want to call it, a hash, where you can then check and you can type it in, check on XRP Ledger, and it'll say ABC project, a little introduction, and then score of 80. I want people to not say, blockchain's a scam, blockchain doesn't work. I want them to go, oh, wow, there's these 100,000 projects that are built on blockchain and they do this. Well, I want to do that. Oh, great. Let's copy that one, call the owner, research it and go, I want to do what you've done. And that's what I want to be doing here. It's going to drive the ecosystems in every blockchain. It's going to grow it. You know, to me, blockchain is fundamental to everything we do. It's a trusted transaction. It should be everywhere. It should be the way we pay for things, the way we vote, the way we, transact, because it's then a trusted layer. And then you can then question it. You can then see the real facts, which in this world, real facts is very limited.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're trying to keep it free if we can.
Yeah, that factual record, but the immutability is also very important.
Exactly.
Yeah, the other question I had was, I know there's going to be, you can already start to see it. There are blockchains now that are really starting to specialize in very specific use cases. Like you've got Flare that's specializing in data, and you've got the XRP Ledger, which has been really good at doing payments, and you've just got a lot of different specialization now happening. What I'm wondering is, well, it's going to be enormously useful for people who are in that stage of shopping for a blockchain, because I know how that goes. You don't know really where your best home is when you start that project. I'm curious, did you ever talk to anybody in the interview process where they discovered that after they've gotten so far along they can't turn around and start over again?
Yeah.
Did some of them feel like they had made the wrong choice and they had wished they had gone with A instead of going with B? I'm sure that does exist, right?
It definitely exists. Less on the ones I've interviewed at this stage, but we've only got 8, so it's not a data point. But in terms of my experience, people talking to me in my daily life, a lot of people have chosen the wrong ones. As I talked about, Hyperledger Fabric used to be the enterprise one, still is very good for certain things, as you say. And now these other ones have come out that actually are very good at other things. And so definitely the next stage of the project is to then start to analyze, once we've got a load of, a statistical useful number of projects, we'll then start to look at which blockchain is good for which use case. So track and trace, oh, they're always on X blockchain. Financial transactions are always on Y. Why is that? Let's have a look at that and start to then at least be able to say, and sort of we've developed a separate model that says, if you want to build a track and trace solution, these are the top 3 blockchains, for example. So that's probably going to be mid next year by the time we get some work out on that. But that's sort of part of the next stage to answer that question, because I can answer that from my experience, and I know people who've got experience, but that's still only my perception and my experience, which, is a lot, but it still could be the wrong, for the intricacies of your solution and requirement might be. So yeah, so that's what we'll be looking at definitely as the next stage, to how to then marry the use case and the blockchain together. So people then don't use the wrong one from the start, because it's not overly difficult to change, but it can be difficult.
Well,
And
it can be expensive too.
it can be expensive, and it also can be, your business could be damaged on the
Sure,
start.
you've got
Therefore,
downtime and transitioning
yeah,
time and just,
exactly.
yeah,
So
it's a
it's
lot.
it's still unfortunately a bit potluck of which blockchains. I mean, my advice to people is always, there's a certain number of blockchains that have been around for a while doing certain things. There must be something in that. So that's your first place to start. And then the second one is, what is so good about the new one that's so specialized? And what, do you know the team? Do you know the security? Do you know these things that happen? Because, as I said with NEM and Symbol, we built a $2 billion, chain, and the core devs, in essence, turned it off, and I think it's worth about 50 million now. Whereas, it's $2 billion when we launched it. There's, understanding why are the people, the founders in this, and why are they doing it? Now, this does come to a very interesting blockchain question, and part of what I talk about in the book is, why am I talking about centralized people in a team of people when blockchain is supposed to be public and free for everyone and everyone can do everything? Reality is we live in a world where somebody needs to do something and people need to be invested and make things happen, which is why we have the incentive models in, blockchain, the different consensus mechanisms that are in essence, most of them incentive systems to make you keep running the network and the rest of it. We're not at a world where millions and millions of people can do this yet. Well, we might be, but they don't just yet. And that's because we're centralized people. So you have an ID number, I do. We have a passport number. We have an employee number. We just haven't. We are humans are fully centralized from the moment we're born. You get something on your wrist, don't you, when you're born? It's like, so I think the cultural and the mentality around blockchain of being free and underpinning everything is a few generations away because we're centralized and that's totally decentralized. And there's an interesting interview with a DAO company on one of the projects that we scored. And they're building software for DAO companies. They're not building too much of the DAOs because they're very complex. But when you talk to them about the experience and you talk to anyone else, I know a few people doing DAOs, the technology is never the issue, it's the people.
Yeah. It's a
It's
very hard thing to do, the self-governance. Yeah, very difficult.
self-governance. And, because it always comes down to, well, Eri was supposed to do that and she didn't do it. Well, Antony didn't do that. He should have done that. Well, why isn't Antony doing it? And then you get in, just like we would in the playground and in community groups, we're always arguing, oh, you didn't bring the cakes. And, we're human. And I think as much as technology is amazing, as much as I love technology, and this is where I live in technology, humans are humans. And we're not robots just yet. I'm sure there's people trying to make us robots, but we're not at that stage. So I think the whole bigger picture of blockchain just being free and just happening is a really long way away. A couple of generations. But so in the meantime, if you're doing a blockchain project, understand the people behind it. Now Bitcoin's the only one, there's nobody behind it as such. They've got a community, it's built, it's the biggest in terms of longevity and the rest of it. Does that mean it's
the layer twos though being built on Bitcoin have centralized people, and there's some really good layer twos that are popping up on Bitcoin now.
Exactly. Spot on, because that's exactly what's nobody's building on Bitcoin per se, the successful projects. They're building on the layer twos, which is a team of people who you can call or message and things. So you can say, how does this work? What do we do here? And look at the Lightning Network, which is what makes Bitcoin actually useful now. And I'm not a Bitcoiner, I'm not for it or against it. It's the original, so I respect it. But I was always like, why is it doing payments? What's the point of it? Makes no sense. Now there's lots of things because of Lightning Network for payments, and then, as you say, the ordinals and the other sort of solutions, the NFT type solution for Bitcoin, they're all starting to come out. And it's interesting because I've been asked a couple of times to start advising people on Bitcoin projects again, and I'm like, oh, I don't know whether I should be or shouldn't, but when you actually look at it, the layer twos are really interesting. So I'm with you. I think there's some really interesting work there. And what a layer two does is make it practical for you and your business. You don't actually need to worry about the big, public chain. The layer two does the work you need to then you get the benefits of the big chain for what you need. So I think, it's very good. The layer twos, I think, are very important. Also, again, diluting the blockchain, though, the decentralized nature of things again. So again, from a pure cultural and the rest of it, it's not pure blockchain. And I've always said blockchain technology is never about pure blockchain and utopia. It's about practicality, making things more efficient, more cheap, more trusted, immutable, etc. So yeah, it's definitely a good time to be trying these projects and doing the research, get into them, because it's fascinating what people are doing, like absolutely fascinating.
Yeah, and I'm kind of peeking around the corner too for your business. I'm thinking that as we get more interoperable, and that is really where we're going now with all different types of bridges, and this interoperability is going to be, I think, key for a very long time to actually achieve it. But instead of scaling vertically, I think we're going to be scaling horizontally. And what I mean by that is that you might have started on one blockchain, but I think you're going to scale horizontally by
Yeah.
adding other components of blockchains to do another facet of your business.
Yes.
And so
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think eventually, I could be wrong, but I think in I don't know how long it takes us to get there, a few more years, but I think you're going to see businesses that have that hybrid, and within
yeah.
that hybrid model, there's going to be 4 or 5 blockchains maybe that
Yes. Yeah, yeah.
make up the entire business model. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think
No,
that's
definitely.
going.
100% with you. I've got a great anecdote from back in my Oracle days, and we were in the UK in one of the London offices, and we were looking at the supply chain for a major global food retailer, like, just massive, massive retailer. And we were sat there going, how would we blockchain it? So it was very techy. So it was mainly architects and, programmers and things in the room, because we were fascinated. We were like, this is new, this is back in 2017. And it's like, oh, so we could do, we put this blockchain for this and this for this and this for this. And then one of the sort of main programmers just sat there and he went, oh my, swearing, it's going to be like 1 billion transactions a second. And we were like, oh, you can't, this is impossible. We can't do this. This is all like a disaster. And then over the next, day or so, it's like, why would we ever do this on one blockchain?
Yeah.
It was do this bit for this chain, this bit for this chain, this bit for that. So this is where side chains and things have come from, because it could
Right.
be you have 5 side chains of the same network, or as you say, you have XRP Ledger, then Ethereum, and then Cardano, and then Bitcoin Ordinal. So I think I'm with you now. Like in those days, it was always going to be the side chains of the same. I think there'll be side chains of the same and then other ones. So I think, the whole sort of interoperability networking is a big challenge, because that's where the weakness is. When you're going cross chains, even side chains and things, that's where weakness is. And that actually is probably what worries me the most about the next stage, because there'll be a lot of failures, which again will be blockchain doesn't work, blockchain's bad, And so I think companies working on those and the security and cyber security around those they're going to be some amazing companies on those. But I think you're right. Because in today's business, if you're in a business today, you get an accounting system from ABC, you get a stock system from ABC, you get a personnel HR system from you do that today, don't we? That's how we build our business.
Right.
Why would we do it any differently? Why would we? Let's run everything on one thing. No, I'm with you 100%. I think that's different chains for different things is where we'll get to, and some mixing as well, because obviously, but that gives you the flexibility and the bespokeness for your business and your projects. Which is so important.
Yeah, and I think it just adds more value to the future of your business. You'll be able to then make a lot of I don't want to say judgments, but you'll be able to incorporate your scoring system so that you can say, yeah, these 2 blockchains are so compatible and
Yeah,
they work so well together, and the bridge is so secure, and it doesn't have the attack vectors or the risk that maybe this blockchain has,
yeah, yeah,
and this one hasn't been tested long enough, so there's still some unsureness to
yeah,
it.
yeah.
Yeah, you'll be able to really, just be like one of those chefs in a great kitchen with all those ingredients, and you'll say, no, 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 you don't use that spice with that,
Yeah.
that doesn't go together, so yeah, I think you'll be the expert to bring it to that next level.
Yeah, no, definitely. And that's where we start with the use cases and the facts today. And then from that, we can start to grow, as you say. And I think, trying to make this a free resource and an easy to use resource is going to be the challenge over the next couple of years. But that's really where I think this will take off, when you can start to do that people go, like an online recipe, as you say, then, it's like, oh, I want to get, make this. Oh, it's ABC. We add those together. Perfect. So yeah, I think there's really interesting, and it's for me the most important thing is real projects, real life projects, real things that are happening. I'm not interested in any BS and any marketing scam and all that stuff that's happened in the past and still unfortunately happens today. It's trying to do what's real and what's happening, and I'm sure some of the ones we've researched are probably a little bit more dodgy and stuff. That's why it's only the scored ones that we actually have checked out, so they're the, so eventually over the next year or so, we'll have more and more scored, which is then more certainty, the data's stronger and the rest of it. So for now, I'm sure some of the research ones, even I've been through going, is that right? Is it not? It's like, it looks okay, but the team will start reaching out to these people and find the project managers, the owners, the CEOs, and start to do the verification, which is great. And it's a good process for the people love it, because they're like, oh, why did we get that score? What about that? It's like, oh, well, actually, that's in our roadmap to fix. That's great. Or we could. So it actually helps the owners as well to move their projects onto the next stage. So yes, very exciting times.